Hello and welcome to #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. My name is Uti Elu and I am joined in the studio today. I've been having a lot of firsts this week.
Right.
So Dami is in studio with me today and
Hi.
I'm excited. We just realized that this was the first time we've seen each other
this
year.
year. I don't think I've seen you this year, actually, and it's so good to see.
3 months are nearly gone.
Right.
I don't understand how 2024 is running. It feels like it's on speed, it's on overdrive, it's on crack, basically.
I agree with you because we just said Happy New Year yesterday,
I know.
and now the first quarter of the year is gone, and it feels like, okay, so what have I even done? I just checking like wait. Everything is just moving so fast.
It is
crazy.
I literally realized that this weekend Q1 ends, so I woke up. I think it was somewhere in the middle of Sunday night. I won't even say Monday morning. And I thought to myself, the quarter is almost over. I started sending messages to people in my team. I need updates here. I need updates there. I'm sure they're probably thinking, what's wrong with this woman? But, you just sort of panic at how quickly the time goes. But I guess when you are older, also, it feels like it goes faster. I remember being a child and it felt like Christmas took
slow.
100 years to come.
Yeah, that's because when we were younger, there was not much things.
There were no
to
cares
do.
in life. There were no worries.
We were really depending on our parents. There was nothing to do. Now there's like so much to do and so little time.
This is the conundrum of life. You don't know what you have till it's gone, and then you don't appreciate.
We wanted to be adults so bad.
Oh,
now that we are adults.
Can I? Is there a refund policy on adulting? Can I give it back?
I really wish.
I mean,
I really wish.
It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. But, I mean, that being said, I am happy for good health.
Yeah.
I am happy because a lot of people we're not lucky enough to make it to, being alive today. So I think that no matter what we say, I'm always cautious to end it on a note of thanks because it could be very different and it could be worse.
True.
So
True.
I'll say thanks to that. So here's what we found as today's quote. He who has health has hope, and he who has hope has everything. That's an old Arabian proverb. Health is wealth, health is joy, health is life, health is peace. I mean, I could go on and on.
For real, people that have great health don't know what God has done for them.
They don't know what God has done for them.
It can't even be. We can't speak about it too much. Good health is really, really underrated because you tend to appreciate good health when you are not feeling well.
Yep.
From just the slightest discomfort of a headache, or of a running nose, and it just feels like, oh my God, can this just end? But you don't appreciate it when you're breathing air freely, when you're just agile and running up and down. So, I mean, I'm really glad for good health, for real, for real.
Absolutely, absolutely. You don't know you don't realize until it's gone.
Yeah, I agree.
That you don't have it. And I think the perspective that we're taking to health in today's show is also a good one because we often think about health versus ill health. We never think about how our health changes as we get older. So I'm looking forward to the conversation that we are going to have today. So as the years pass, maintaining a healthy lifestyle becomes increasingly important for overall well-being and longevity. Healthy aging is just not about living longer. It's about living better. With vitality and purpose, today, Moji Dayo-Dunmoye is here to discuss the topic, healthy aging, fitness and wellness strategies. And when we open the phone lines, we'd love to hear what you have to say. But first, let's take a break for what we found in the news. Please stay with us. The lights dim and the audience settles. As the curtain rises, months of preparation comes to fruition and a story comes to life. World Theatre Day celebrates the importance of theatre art as it continues to move, entertain, teach and change us. Theatre arts are enjoyed by millions worldwide. Productions take weeks, even months of preparation, and everyone must work together to create a finished product. Being a part of a theatre production is a thrilling and stressful endeavor, and when it's done well, the audience reaps the benefits of terrific storytelling full of humor and emotion. I think when we think about, I don't want to say theatre is almost a lost art in Nigeria now because movies have taken over, Nollywood has taken over, but I mean, I remember as a child going to watch, you know, theatre productions and stage plays at National Theatre. But I think today in Lagos, with the exception of maybe Terra Culture, I'm not sure that there's another venue that is known for putting on theatre productions. So yeah, I think apart from Bolanle or St. Peter's, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that is still championing the cause of theatre arts and stage plays, because it forms a foundation. If you, even if, I shouldn't even say if we go outside of Nigeria, even here in Nigeria, the foundational Nollywood stars all started their stories, their journeys from stage plays. So whether it's Olu Jacobs, whether it's what's the Ajayi Lycett, Taiwo
Ajayi Lycett, yes.
They all started from stage plays. So we have a rich history of stage plays. I think that we've just not managed to keep that going in an evolutionary manner, in the sense of the volumes that we should be at, given where we started from. So I think technology has come in, movies, Nollywood.
Well, I think that there's still an audience for stage play in Nigeria. It just has to be done well, because you can't take away the emotions that come with stage play. Yeah. It's not like when you're watching a movie that you're probably taking like 3 takes. You know, and I mean, to get a perfect shot. Yeah. No, this is live. We're dealing with live emotions. It feels like we are following the actors as they move, you know, where we are in it. We are carried along. It's not just like a film that we're watching. So I think that this, for me, for instance, if I hear of a stage play that's really good, I would like to attend one, honestly speaking.
And I think that's absolutely true. There's absolutely an audience for it, because I think that almost every show that is put on is always sold out. Yeah. I think it was, she had one, I think it was Saru. And I made a mental note when I heard about it. I said, oh, I'm going to watch it. I think it was maybe 2 weeks later I remembered. It was already sold out. So there is definitely an audience for it, because she's, like you said, she's built a reputation for herself, that she puts on good productions. So it always sells out. You know, I remember when they were also running Fela, and that also ran, it's rerun, you know. So we have a rich culture, and I hope that, you know, it does get a resurgence. So what did you find for us in the news?
Okay, so what I found for us in the news, something around unemployment anyway. So former President Olusegun Obasanjo has linked the growing activity of bandits and kidnappers to the unemployment situation in the country. I mean, as much as that is true, I mean, I feel like it's a bit rich coming from Obasanjo, considering that in his own tenure as well, he didn't particularly do a great job at managing the unemployment situations. For instance, because ideally, the government is supposed to be the highest employer of labor, right? But we don't see that happening in Nigeria, because in his tenure, I mean, a lot of...
no, the government is still the highest employer of labor. The public services are our welfare system.
But then again, what's the minimum wage in Nigeria?
So that the minimum wage conversation is a different one, because, again, I would ask the question more, what is the employability of a lot of people that these people hire? Is it an optimized workforce? They're costing the country a lot of money. But I think that in the cadre of presidents that we've had, I think Obasanjo, if any of them are going to have this conversation, I think it would be Obasanjo, because, I mean, he led us in an era of boom. You know, things were going well, all prices were high, we were making a lot of money, we had people like Paris Club writing off our debt. I mean, industries like telcos and all of that, sort of, you know, people will argue that it didn't start with him, but they came to fruition in his time, and those were things that were...
But then industries like, I mean, telcos like, for instance, Nitel, where's Nitel today?
Well, so, I mean, when it comes to Nigerian-owned institutions, and, I mean, I have a peculiar... I don't know that's a peculiar perspective, but I don't think that our government has any business running corporations, right? Even in other countries where they had, like British Telecom, private company. So some of these things need to be outsourced, right? Yeah. A government running a commercial business, I mean, look at electricity today.
Which is why they've even privatized them anyway.
So there is a lot to be said for that. But I think that this statement for me, when I saw this story, it resonated why for me, because it is true.
Yeah, it is.
The level of unemployment, the state of the economy today, I woke up this morning to a panicked phone call from my friend, and she said to me, they were just robbed. And I didn't understand what happened. And she said, I thought she was joking, in fact, when she said it. And then I realized, hang on, no, she's being serious. And then we got off the phone, and she sent me a video. I can't remember the last time I heard a case of armed robbery in Lekki. And it was, they came, 4 men in a car, they were armed, they put the security guards on the floor, and they went into the compound. And guess what? They didn't go into the 24 apartments in that compound. They didn't go into any of the apartments. There are at least 20-something cars, 30 cars in that compound of all various degrees, from Corolla all the way to G-Wagon. You won't believe that they went into that compound and they targeted the 2 Lexus GX 460s.
Oh, wow.
They removed the brain box, they removed the mechanisms for the windows, they removed the side mirrors. They literally stripped the car. All that was left was the skeleton. That's what I would call it, because everything of value in the car. I mean, they couldn't lift the engine, right? But all the electrical bits that, you know, and they stripped the cars. And only those 2 cars. So they smashed one window to access the car, and they surgically stripped the car. And that's what she woke up to this morning. So it's scary, but it is valid. And it just means that from a security perspective, and I know we've talked about it several times on the show, but everybody has to have that sort of higher level of consciousness now and awareness to our surroundings, whether it's at your home, whether it's your office, in traffic, because people are hungry and people are angry. So it's to be expected. So it's a sad one.
Well, I just wish that the government can do better, in terms of employment, because the more unemployment that we have, the more crime rates we're going to keep having in the country.
But I don't think that we would be looking to the government to influence unemployment directly. I think that empowering, so the usual things that we hear, ease of doing business, empowering small businesses who hire a lot more people, ensuring that we don't lose a middle class who are hiring domestic workers, drivers, all of these things. I think that's the responsibility of the government. Security, so people can move around and do their business and, you know, move around and hustle, as they say. These are all the places where the government really needs to sink its teeth. Things that are foundation to this, education, health, those are the places that the government now really needs. And I think that once those foundational elements are fixed, all the other things, Nigerians, we are good at taking care of ourselves, right?
Yeah,
just give us a little, and we'll make a lot. So I hope that the situation truly improves. But right now, I think we're all just watching and seeing and experiencing it as it goes on. So my own story, well, of course, we're coming to the tail end of, or we have come to the tail end of the dry season. So we're now entering the dreaded rainy season, as I like to call it. We're talking about traffic now. Well, when the rains fall, it's a completely different thing. There's one of these food delivery apps that I have on my phone. Every other time it rains, I see a message pop up on my phone and say, oh, we're experiencing delays because of the rain.
Delivery.
So it delays everything, it changes everything. But my headline says, Lagos State anticipates unprecedented rainfall in 2024. The government announced on Tuesday that they're expecting an unusually high rate of rainfall for the 2024 season across the state, with a total forecast of 1,936.2 millimeters. This came via the Commissioner of Environmental and Water Resources. And so this story stood out for me. Of course, like I said, rain transforms our lives and changes the course of your day. So it's important. I like this story, one, because there's a measure of proactiveness to it. So I like that they're creating awareness and sensitization now to the kind of levels of rainfall that we're expecting. You know, meteorology and the study of the weather, right, is not new. So, I mean, you turn on any foreign radio station or TV station, you're likely to get a detailed weather forecast. I mean, even if you go on Google now, you can get, you know, some weather forecast for Lagos, for your area. So I like the fact that they've been able to, they went as far in the story as predicting when the rains would start, which for some places is as early as Monday, the 1st of April. And the sad part of the news for me was that they were predicting that this rain was going to last all the way through to the first week of December.
No way.
My dear. So that was like, people, go and buy your rain boots, buy your raincoats, buy strong umbrella. I mean, I'm
just even concerned about people that have not so good accommodations.
I was coming to that,
Their living conditions are already bad when there's no rain, and now it's going to be worse.
I mean, there was rain that fell, so I think, was it not last week or the week before that they demolished the houses in Jakonde?
Yeah, that was
and there were people that were literally sleeping. There was a heavy rain that fell one night, and these people were sleeping in the rain, women with, you know, with newborn babies and things like that. But that being said, it just means that we don't have a lot of time. It's only like a few days, but the consciousness of it now and beginning to plan for the weather, so things like cleaning out your gutters, things like, removing refuse, all these things that need to be done to sort of try and help us cope with the rain, because everybody is affected. It doesn't matter where you are in Lagos, right? They go on exactly. They go on to talk about a few things that the government is doing to prevent potential disasters, monitoring of the Onyo dams, putting organizations in place to control the water discharges from the dams and reduce flood risks, talking about readying Lasema to deal with emergencies. So the story for me just carried a measure of proactivity now. Whether they say it and then do it are two different things. But I like the fact that they're even able to provide this information so that
everybody can be ready.
To the level of your capacity, at least you're not taken by surprise and you know that it's coming. So I think we can take a quick break now, and when we come back, we'll welcome our guest and jump into the show. Please stay with us.
I am God's beauty, Israel. I'm someone passionate about conversing, reading, and unwinding. Why? Because I have a deep knowledge on what starting your day is like. So yes, I'm inviting you to watch Waste Breakfast in the mornings so that you not just be enlightened, but at the same time entertained. So tune in and start your day the right way on Waste Breakfast.
Whether you're a Gen Z, you're a Gen X, you're a millennial, you're an alpha, you're still under the same law that applies to every generation. So that you are dressing to suit yourself. Do you actually put yourself in the shoe of the other party to say, imagine I were to be a male person. Imagine I were to be a guy who by nature and by default, right, I get to see a lady's body and I am attracted. Right, my hormone starts to immediately starts to rise, starts to stand. I'm just so, oh my God, this girl is fine. And then you are now coming to dress that way, show me more of it. And then you think, when I look at you, the first thing I'm supposed to think of is, hey, what are you doing? What is your job? What do you do right now? Excuse you. The first thing I'm going to be thinking of, how have we smashed this girl? How have we knocked this girl down?
The skirt is not skirting if it's not as short as a belt. Is it really skirting? Obviously, a female will dress how best, they want to feel.
Okay.
And if I'm putting on an outfit, obviously, I'm not thinking in my head, oh yeah, like I'm dressing for you to come and judge me. Like, no, I'm dressing for myself. I'm wearing what I know I'm going to feel good in, look good in, and act good in. It shouldn't be a case of, oh, because I'm dressing in some type of way that it gives you the audacity or the right to even approach me or have such thoughts in your head. I mean, do you even know me? Do you know anything about me, bro? You don't even know me. Like, why is that the first thing that comes up to your head? I get you have your thoughts, yeah, but keep that to yourself, quite frankly. Literally keep that to yourself.
Exactly. I feel like the problem comes like just right after you said, I like the way you're dressing, and like you don't need to put that "and" when you're talking to me. Like I know that I look good, but it's like you could stop like I like the way you're dressing, period. Why do you have to take it to now you feel like, hey, I can say this to you and you don't want me to feel offended. Like, as you just said, everyone has a right to their opinion, great. I have an opinion to feel offended because why are you adding all that extra stuff to me? I don't know you from anywhere. Why are you telling me you want to knock me? Like, it's just, like, weird. Like,
I get it.
this is a stranger. It's one thing to admire. It's another step to walk up to someone, tell them they look good, and then now project what you feel like you want to do to them.
So when you admire, what thought comes into your head?
I'm just like, wow, this person looks good, and keep it pushing, because how many people do you see in a day that look good?
Hello, Nigeria. My name is Joy Matthew, and of course, you can call me MJ. I love to talk, and I talk for a living. If you leave me to talk, I will keep talking to the end of the earth. Join me on Raise Breakfast, where we give a voice to the youth to speak about topical and societal issues as it affects Nigeria, Africa, and the world at large. Until I come to your screen. See you soon.
Thanks for staying with us. Aging is an inevitable part of life's journey, but it doesn't have to mean a decline in health and vitality. As a matter of fact, the right approach to aging can be fulfilling and an enriching experience. Healthy aging encompasses various aspects of well-being, including physical, mental, and emotional health. By adopting proactive strategies, individuals can enhance their quality of life as they age. So today we are asking, what are the fitness and wellness strategies to age healthily? Please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 0818-038-4663. So Dami, before we bring in our guests, I'll come to you. Do you have a strategy for your wellness and well-being? Or age is just on your side? Right now you're flexing.
No, because I just recently went back to the gym, for instance, and I've been, as much as I'm trying to like build my body and tone up my body, I'm also very conscious and very particular about my fitness, like even mentally, because that's what even drove me to the gym in the first place. I needed to be fit mentally. I felt like my brain was too idle. I mean, not like I don't do any other work. Of course I do, but then I just felt like my brain was too idle. There was nothing to like push and push and push. I needed that extra push from my brain to my body, right? And it has been really, really working. So I feel more alive now than I used to feel. Sometimes I just felt really heavy. I felt like, was I eating too much, or was I eating at night so late or something? But I feel a lot. The things I couldn't do before, I can do them now. I can climb like so many stairs and not be panting like something else, you know. I just feel really fit. I feel really good. I feel very good about my body and myself generally. So I think it's working.
Oh, well done. Thank you for that. What I would like to call the standard answer. So every time I ask people about wellness, the first thing they go to is fitness. They talk about their weight. They talk about maybe what they eat. They talk about what time they eat. But I often like to try to get people to expand the conversation. So there's a reason why it's wellness and not fitness. And I think that people don't embrace the entirety of wellness, right? So people will talk about going to the gym, but then you find them, they go to the gym, they don't understand how their body works, they don't understand how to work out their body correctly, they don't understand how to prevent injuries in the gym. They finish gymming, they do video to put on Instagram, then they don't stretch and they just bounce out. You know, so that's just one side of it. And I talk to people and I'm saying, do you have a healthy sleep practice? Do you sleep 4 hours a day? Do you sleep 8 hours a day? Do you even understand the quality of your sleep, right? That's one part. Everybody, you know, there's the catchphrase since COVID, mental health, mental health. There's an aspect of health to, you know, the mind. Are you settled? I mean, Nigeria is not really helping our mental health right now, but that's a different show. So the reality of it is you kind of have to think about the entirety. Now, last year I struggled a lot with what I like to call the aging part of the conversation. Nobody quite tells you when you are doing photo shoots and doing welcome to the 4th level and doing level up, level up, level up, nobody quite tells you
what comes with
that
it.
your body is waiting for you in front. Like on the other side of that photo shoot, it gets real quick.
Oh, good.
I woke up one day and I was like, I had been trying to help my son over Christmas to build his Legos. And, you know, I kept saying to him, shine the light, Baba, shine the light. Then one morning, I don't know, I just woke up to go drink water. And I picked up my phone, and it was a weird angle. I think I was still lying down. And where I was trying to stand up, my hand went like this. And I just realized, the phone is sharper. By the time I got to the kitchen, I was crying. I was like, oh my God, I need glasses. I've not worn glasses since I was 9. Oh my God, what's going on? I got off the glasses train. Then blood pressure was waiting for me.
No way.
Like, my health last year. Wow. So, it took me down this journey of food as medicine. That's another part of wellness, right? So we're thinking about, fitness. When we talk about food, people stop in the one that will not make me fat. But we're not thinking about the ones that will not make me healthy. So you talk about things like, I'm going to reduce the food that I eat. But you are still eating meat. You are still eating fried something. You are still eating hydrogenated vegetable oil, which is the one we used to fry the stew that we like to eat, hot white rice. Our diet, as much as we have access to fresh, organic, healthy vegetables, if it's not slathered in palm oil as a foriro, it doesn't really work for us. It doesn't make sense. You know, then when Fit Farm came in, all of us started eating salad.
Right.
But we now eat the salad, we will now pack mayo and load it. Then they'll say, I ate salad, it's so healthy. No, it defeats
the entire purpose.
My dear.
It does.
So I'm so excited to hear from our guest today, because when I think about aging, I think about preventative medicine. And we talk about how our bodies change as we age, what happens to things like your blood vessels. I mean, when I was going through my blood pressure issues last year, I was shocked at the amount of people that were on blood pressure medication. When I say, my God, I was so sick, my blood
really
pressure.
Young people.
And it was like, you put it in your bag. I have one in my car. I have one in my office. The shock for me was at Christmas, and my cousin offered me chocolate, and I said, no, I can't eat it. He said, why? I said, on the left-hand side, blood pressure. On the right-hand side, cholesterol. Me in the middle, struggling. He said, are you not on medication? I said, what do you mean? He said, this is December. I've been on it for 2 years. My cousin is younger than me.
See?
So I kind of was like, so I'm not averse to medication. But people have normalized taking medication. And that's why I have a problem with it. Like, medication for the rest of my life. My doctor actually told me that the odds are against me. Plus family history, plus location, plus being a black woman. Just embrace the medicine. And I'm like, why? So I will wait until we bring in our guest. But even me, I've had to take some drastic steps this year. I mean, I'm healthier for it. I'm on a journey. But it's important that we educate people about preventative medicine, because healthcare in this country doesn't really rock. So
true.
Hold that thought. So our guest, Moji Dayo-Dunmoye, is a thought leader in the wellness industry with over half a decade of experience. Her major interest is in helping individuals and organizations improve their health, productivity, and profitability through wellness. She's the founder of Juvenis Group, a wellness brand playing within the spa, nutrition, wellness, real estate, and green cosmetics ecosystems. Welcome to the show, Moji. Lovely to have you here.
Hey, hi. Interesting conversation, ain't
so
it?
far, right? You're going to educate us today. You're going to tell us why, is bleaching palm oil that people complain about. I'm like, the vegetable oil I use to fry your stew. Perhaps you ought to do a bit of research. But anyway, we'll come to that. I think we can kick off with understanding how the body evolves as we age. Your childhood, you have energy, you eat all the time. I have an 8-year-old son. When he's eating bread, I'm scared. And my friends that have teenagers tell me, he's not a teenager yet. Just you wait. More is coming. So, teenage years, 20s, 30s, every single stage changes. So talk us through that journey.
Okay, so it's just like, a child. When a child starts working, you literally can't stop the child from working. From the first day the child starts, to move around. The child wants to just bounce all over the place, and then is moving. And then for a child, that is normal, right? And then as you evolve into your teenage years as well, you still have a lot of energy, and then you can jump around all over the places. And what that means is that whatever you're eating, your body is breaking it down very easy, and then it's digesting as fast as it can be. But it's a problem when you have like a grown adult jumping up and down like a child. Everybody will be wondering, okay, what's going on? Is everything fine with this person, you know? And that's what it is, really. So which is where we have to, you know, begin to look at the things that we consume, the things that we take in, so that we can, you know, watch how it goes, because our body doesn't really break it down so much. And then also as we evolve, we begin to find out that some food doesn't sit well with us. There are people that are lactose intolerant, for example. There are people that can't handle gluten very well, for example, like me. And then you need to be aware of those, you know, food, and then it then guards what you do. It also guards the activities that you do as well, because sitting down too long also because you're an adult is also a problem. You don't move around as much as a child, you know, just flowing from that space. And that's really what it is, actually.
I like that you talked about gluten, and I won't call them, I would say intolerances more so than allergies. But I mean, I've developed, like my mother, I developed lactose intolerance in my old age. I'm a coffee drinker. I'm trying to transition into green tea, but I'm a coffee drinker. And then I realized that I will have coffee with milk, and then my tummy will be going one way. And I remember that when, you know, you don't realize things when you're younger, but then I sort of remember that there was a time that my mom was a cereal eater, like Rice Krispies, every morning Rice Krispies for breakfast. And one day my mom just said she can't drink milk anymore. I was like, we can't drink milk, what do you mean? Guess what? It has caught up with me. But what do people, because when we're talking about aging, my own intolerance showed up later in life. How do people pay attention to these changes and notice them so that they can mitigate them?
I think it's from the place of awareness. It's from the place of intentionality. I think the thing actually, you know, springs up a lot earlier. It's just that we're not paying attention to it. So for me, in my 20s, for example, I just found that when I take pastries, breads, and stuff like that, I really get bloated. I couldn't put my finger to what the exact reason it was, but I knew that. Then I started observing what I was taking in, and then because I play in the wellness space, maybe I was a bit more aware. And I think it's from, so to answer your question, it's from the place of being intentional. You know, life really is about being intentional about every aspect of life anyway. So I think the one major part that we neglect, that we don't pay attention to, is our health, you know, and our body, and what our body tells us. When your body is tired, it tells you. When you're having a headache, your body is saying, shut me down, I need to rest. When you eat and you're bloated, or when you're heavy, your body is telling you something. It's either that the thing you took in is not good for you. And, you know, you were talking about milk. There are milk options you can take, actually. You know, it doesn't have to be cow milk, which is even cheaper. There's coconut milk, there's tiger nut milk, which are a lot cheaper, plant-based milks that you can take. People say the taste is not the same, but I think it's just what our tongues are used to. So
yeah, really, you have to re-educate your palate, but I've made the transition. So that's one of the changes that I made this year. I went whole food plant-based, and it's been amazing. So I can definitely attest to. I mean, I stopped drinking dairy milks last year. That was the first change actually that I made. So I've gotten used to plant-based milks, even though the two that you mentioned, I don't like either of them.
So I'd like to ask, I know how Nigeria struck, especially in Lagos, it feels like everything moves really fast. So people don't even have time for themselves to even sleep well or to even eat well. Most people are just eating whatever they can grab off the shelf or something. So what ways do you think that the quality of sleep that people get can actually impact aging, right? And how exactly do you think they can balance the whole stress of life and the environment where they live in, and, you know, still stay well and even fit?
I'll come from the place of intentionality, which is the first thing that I mentioned earlier. And then, of course, being aware of our environment and the peculiarities of our environment. Sleep is a major, major part of wellness. And you know, it's a major part. At least your body needs between about 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And you need to be intentional about that. So I think it's coming from the decisions of where you work, for example. People will say, oh, but there are really no jobs, opportunities out there. It is what they find, and da-da-da-da-da. But I think the choice of job also is you being intentional, right? I'm being careful with my words, and I'm saying this because I know where people stand. And I think if you decide on where you want to work, you can actually get it. I think if you decide on the kind of career path you also want to plan, you can. So it is being deliberate about, you know what, if I work in VI, for example, I am not going to go and live in a very far place that I have to leave my house at 3 a.m., right? So maybe the luxury I wouldn't have is to have a big space or a big house.
Yeah.
If it means staying in like a studio apartment just because I'm conscious of my health and I want to live well, because it doesn't make any sense to, you know, jump out of your house at 3 a.m., you're not back till 12 minutes, you're just going to work out. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Your body you just break down. So sleep is key. 7 to 9 hours of sleep is very important. Your body needs to rest so that your whole thing, you can experience rejuvenation, you can relax all the stress that has gone through the day. Your body can just shut down and, you know, refresh back for another day. Yes, yes.
So to bring it down to practical terms, I hear you when you say if you work in VI, for instance, you probably have no business living on the mainland, you know, all that commuting and whatnot. But then again, we need to understand we need to understand that the capacity of different individuals varies when it comes to finances, right? So some people would definitely not like to live on the mainland and be working on the island, but then that's their reality. So what's an alternative, right, to 7 to 9 hours of sleep? Let's just pin it down to sleep, for instance. What's an alternative? Because not everybody can get 7 to, even with that, live on the island and work on the island. I doubt that on most days we actually get up to 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Let's be truthful.
I can't confirm it.
Do you get so what's an alternative? What's an alternative way to deal with that and still remain well?
Right. Okay, so some of the things that we're doing with my brand, because my brand is really about bringing wellness closer to people and ensuring that at least people live well, with focus on preventive health, because I don't think people should go to the hospitals if they are well. It's when there are health issues that everybody start running all over the place. So what we are working with the corporates to do, where most people spend the quality of their time, is for corporate places where people work to create wellness, you know, spaces within the office, right? So for example, if I jumped out of my house at 3 a.m., right, and office doesn't really start, the reason why I jumped out was because so that I can beat the traffic. If there's a meditation room or a wellness space within my office, I should be able to go there, plug in, you know, and rest for some time, right? And then also while I'm working on my decks, if I just feel like I'm stressed, I need to distress a little bit, there should be a space that can answer that. And we are really working around that, you know, we corporate organizations, encouraging them to create wellness spaces because they benefit in the long run, right? They will spend less on health insurance schemes, they'll spend less, they will have less situations of absenteeism because no people will be, so it promotes the overall productivity of the organization, really. So that's what an angle where I will come from.
Yes, fantastic, thank you.
So, I mean, I love that we've sort of touched on sleep. Now, coming back to the things that we see, there's no arguing that the way we eat as Nigerians today has evolved. We eat a lot more processed foods. We eat a lot more, I don't want to say imported foods because it's not really about that, but we eat a lot more processed foods. If you sort of think about the things that we were having a conversation maybe a few weeks ago about how when we were kids, right, Coke and Fanta came in glass bottles. A guest comes to your house, you carry the empty bottle, you walk to the next street, you go and buy it, they drink it. Very few houses had a culture of fizzy drinks available on hand. Even the water that we drank, you know, it was largely either boiled water or some people had those old ceramic water filters, you know. But today, everybody defaults to bottled water. And all of these things, you know, we're not particularly taking care of. I mean, if I even just take water in plastics, you see dispenser bottles sitting in direct sunlight and people go and drink this water. So we've transitioned. We've picked up what I like to call a lot of bad habits and practices over time, right? Even the way we cook has changed. I don't have a problem with gadgets, but, you know, there are schools of thoughts that say these gadgets all have impacts. There's a school of thought that goes down we're now using non-stick pans and we've scraped it, we've scratched it. There are all these issues, right, that are affecting us today because we've evolved. How can we cope with that? How do we live in today's world and focus on our health and solve for some of these things?
The angle I will come from, it will be about you being aware, first of all, because information is key. And I like that you touched around non-stick pots. I like that you also talked around, you know, the dispenser waters that we buy that has been in the sun for a very long time, yet we buy it and consume it. I also like that you talk about filtering system, which is a cheaper option actually. I think it's convenience that is driving, you know, the narrative really. And but if I'm looking at convenience and convenience is going to harm my health, I think I better be, you know, change whatever strategy that I'm working on. So I would say, for my grandma, for example, my grandma never used seasonings to cook, and her food was very nice, right? Yeah. She will come from all the place of natural. My grandma also had a lot of vegetables consumptions, and they had these herbs like powder from that they used to force us to take when we were growing up, and they were just to ensure that you take a lot of, you know, vegetables in your system. So that's it really. And awareness, education, knowing what is good for you, being careful also about the things that you buy, knowing that the water that is staying in the sun in a plastic for a long time is not good. It's even more expensive, right? When you're buying your dispenser water, how is it stored? It's also an education for the people that, you know, sell the waters. How are they storing it? They need to store it in like a place where there's sun away from it so that the reflection of the sun doesn't go into it, because the plastic and everything just melt together, and then you're taking what is not good for you. For the pans that you're using to cook, non-stick pans are not good. And that's really? Yes, they're not.
They're not.
Because the peel inside of it, once you cook with it over time, once it peels off, the peeling off that is going into the food that you're eating.
Isn't that when you use a metallic spoon?
It doesn't matter. Over time, non-stick pots would eventually lift. They would lift. You know, the material that they use inside would eventually lift out, and then a lot of people don't throw it away anyway. You keep using it, and then a lot of people also don't use wooden spoons when they're touring their food. When we were growing up, they used to use wooden stick. And then there was the packer that they used to pack the food. It was wooden. You know, all around. You know, being conscious about the earth, and then the water was stored in clays.
Exactly. So I think that's a very good note for us to take a quick break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. If you've just tuned in, we're discussing fitness and wellness strategies for aging healthily with Moji Dayo-Dunmoye. Please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp 20818-038-4663. Our phone lines are also now open, so you can call us on 0702 500 7749. Please remember to turn down the volume of your TV set so we can have a great conversation. So I'll come back to you, Moji. The last thing you said as we went before we went on the break was to store water in clay pots. Now, this was an awesome realization for me. And I totally agree with you when you say knowledge is power. And there's nothing cheaper today than the acquisition of knowledge. Data is cheap. Rather than use it to read Insta blog, use it to learn, right? But non-stick pots, why did I mention it? They're typically quite expensive. I don't believe we produce them here. And in the course of my journey, I mean, I'm serious. I started to do my research, and I found somebody, I think she's somewhere in Abuja. She sells clay pots. Yes. Oh. Big pot, 13,000 naira.
Really?
Big pot, made from clay. Small pot. In fact, it's because things are expensive now. The first time I found her, she had the kind of pot you used to boil rice.
Yeah.
Maybe for like 3-4 people. It was like 4-5.
Wow.
Clay. And I couldn't believe it. She had like water jars where you could store. And I just realized that, you know, when you hear things like alkaline, it sounds all fey and fancy. But these are the things, this is where we started. This is why I can comfortably say that our ancestors were healthier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they walked. They did not enter car so much. You know, now, when they say we've removed Okada from the roads, everybody's complaining because you don't want to get down from the bus stop and walk. If you go to other countries, the bus stop is probably 10 minutes from your house. I remember, I mean, when I lived in the UK, I would check the time. Oh, bus is coming in 10 minutes. I knew that it took me 8 minutes to walk to the bus stop. You begin to match your pace to get to the bus stop. Exactly, to get to the bus stop. But all of these things, like our guest rightly said, convenience has entered and spoiled the shop. So how do we, I think Dami raised a very germane point. All fingers are not equal, and things are really tough in Nigeria today. If I want to prioritize my well-being, where is the cheapest place to start?
The cheapest place to start would be from information, being aware. And I think technology is so advanced that one way or the other, we all kind of have mobile phones with us. And I know that a lot of people buy data, even if it's the cheapest of one, they buy data to go on Facebook, like you said, and all the social medias. But I would say they should start from educating their minds and educating themselves, because you will just be surprised, like the clay pot scenario you mentioned, of the things that are available for you. The cast iron pots that we use to make our patty jollof rice, they're a lot healthier to cook meals than the non-stick pots that we use. And they're available. There are people that have made it into smaller bits that are even pretty and more beautiful that you can have in your kitchen and use to cook. And then also, coming from wherever that you are, so for example, for my fruits and my vegetables, for example, I have a market supply that I go to that I get it from, because I'm also trying to manage my cost. If I need strawberries, for example, I don't buy strawberries that are foreign. Strawberry goes in Nigeria in just flows has and out of season, yes. And I buy a lot of it when it's going out of season and I store, you know, so that I can make my smoothies, right? And then we have plenty of fruits that go in and out. You don't have to buy the expensive ones. Work with the seasons, right? The ones that are going out of seasons, change to them and go with the ones that are available, you know, readily available. There are a lot of bananas around, there are a lot of oranges, there are a lot of pineapples, a lot of watermelons, and, you know, there's a lot of beetroot. Beetroot is actually very good for your bowel movement, right? And then, you know, take all of those things. There's a lot of greens as well. We have spinach readily available every time. You know, juice it. We have celeries, which other one? We have cucumbers, you know, we have ginger, almost available at every time. And those are the things. So my water, for example, if I have to take my water, I like to put a bit of lemon, ginger, cucumber, mint inside because I like it infused. And then as I'm taking it, I'm getting detoxed, you know, from whatever toxins that I've taken in. And, you know, it's just from the place. And you will find out that those things that I just mentioned, I wouldn't even spend 200 naira, you know, in buying it. So a lot of people will say, this is for rich people. It's not. It's actually from the place of, I want to take care of myself.
So we have our first call of the show. I understand we have Loman from Abia State. Good evening, Loman. Can you hear us? Welcome to the show.
Yes, good evening, my dear sisters in the house.
Good evening. Please go ahead.
See, as I'm watching on telly, what you people are showing us, healthy aging, I want to tell you, the present administration has made it impossible for we to buy these things. No money. Me, I eat agbo in the morning, agbo in the afternoon, agbo in the evening, because I cannot afford these things. You look at what you are showing us, and these things are what we're supposed to use to nourish our body in order for we to age well. So if we are to go by what you're showing us, I'm telling you, at least I will reach up to 120 years. But because of the economic situation of things in this country, it is not possible for me to do it. So I am using this opportunity to tell the present administration, please help us. Let money be in our purse. Make things affordable. Let goods and services be affordable to us, so that at the end of the day, we'll be able to age well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Loman. Thank you for calling. And like I said, that's the real reality. People are hungry. But I think that one of the things that a lot of people, you do have to make changes, right? I don't know how much akpu is. I mean, I haven't bought fufu, as we call it in this part of the country, in a while. But when I said I went Whole Foods plant-based,
is more expensive than cucumber.
I'm going to say that. Like, really?
When I went Whole Foods plant-based, people almost beat me. You will not eat chicken. You will not, your money has come. And I said, I wanted to go vegan when I turned 40 a few years ago. Nice. And I told myself, it's expensive. I will be looking for, we bring me imported this, imported that. When the reality hit and I leveraged information, I found out that, hang on, tofu that I thought that we have to buy imported is here.
Yes.
I spent 2 to 3 hours on the internet. I found somebody making seitan locally, making tempeh locally. I found plenty of people selling tofu, awara. I found all sorts of vegetables. I was always a big vegetable eater. That was why really the transition to Whole Foods plant-based wasn't hard for me, because I love eating beans, lentils, all these things. I was never a big meat eater. So it was easy, but every single person that I encountered, the first response, your money has landed. You are rich, it's expensive. And I said, hang on, how much is the meat you are buying? How much is the chicken you are buying? The most expensive things that I buy now is lentils, because I eat beans, I eat lentils. Okay, mushrooms. I was surprised to find out how many locally based growers of mushrooms are here.
Absolutely.
I decided, I love that you also touched on seasoning cubes. We don't understand how our palates have changed to embrace salt, to embrace MSG, to embrace all these things. But when we were growing up, we used them, but it wasn't such a dependency.
No.
Again, information. When I did my search, I found people that do salt-free, MSG-free seasonings based on mushrooms, based on
vegetables,
herbs. Like, there was so much.
You have a very delicious,
very nice meal, actually.
So, I mean, it's taking some retraining of my palate, let me be honest. If you're used to the high saltiness of all these seasoning cubes and foods, I'm not going to lie and tell you it tastes exactly the same.
It doesn't.
But it's not that it tastes bad. You just have to retrain your palate because it's salty. So if we build on what Loma has said and understanding the preventative nature of food, and the thing I want to talk about, Loma is going to be like, it's as if this woman did not hear what I said. But there is a part of your business that I think that is important for us to talk about, because we've talked about sleep, but meditation, focus. You know, not everybody can afford spa.
Yeah.
I've committed to spa no longer being a luxury, but being an expense, a necessity.
Yes.
But what is it that people go to spas to achieve, and is there an alternative?
Okay, so what people go to the spa to achieve really is to distress.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? So I come, I'm overworked, I have tight muscles, I have pain everywhere, and I don't want to take paracetamol or Panadol or whatever. I decide to just use a natural means. So our work really is more on, promoting holistic preventive health, but naturally, right? And that's what really people come to do in the spa. So if you're in your house and you don't know how to, going back to information, if you go to your YouTube, right? If you have walked about the whole day and you have an achy feet, right? Just Google reflexology and you will be able to see reflexology points. But you might not be able to do it as creative or as professional as a therapist will, but you will be able to relieve yourself of whatever discomfort that you have. Another thing you can do, for example, you can soak your feet in hot water, right? You can soak it in Epsom salt. You will feel relieved, of all those achiness. You can even use salt that you normally readily use to cook in your house. It will relieve you of whatever pressure that you have. So I would touch a bit on Mr. Loma's information around the Nigerian situation and the fact that what he can afford is Akpu and all of that. So what I would say is, God forbid that Mr. Loman has to find himself in a situation where he has to eat right. And that's a lot of times what we wait for. And then you are now forced to be doing the right thing. And at that time, it's a bit too late. Because then you're not now, doing it from preventive. You are doing it because you already have the situation. You're trying to manage it. But why not focus on preventing those things from happening? Eating right, sleeping right, exercising, resting, and all of that. And another thing people come to do in the spa is, being able to get focus right, being able to take off all those stress and relax. you can practice meditation in your room.
At home, yes.
Just relax, close your eyes, shut down any distracting thoughts that are coming to you, breathe deeply. Take a 1 to 10, number, breathing slowly. They say all of this thing is English and is foreign and is luxury. It's not. It is you taking care of you. It is you loving you. And then when you're done with those experiences, you will find out that all the stressors, all the things that you think is going to collapse or whatever problem that you think you're having is going to be there, but you'll be fine, really. And that's it.
I mean, time flies when we're having fun.
Fun, honestly.
Final thoughts from you, Dami, on your wellness as you get older.
Well, I think that, like Moji rightly said, we just need to be more intentional about our wellness. These things, as we say, they're not expensive. If we actually are very intentional about getting things right, I believe that we will get it, because good thing now, you don't even have to buy a whole watermelon, for instance. You can buy the sliced one, Orange is quite affordable. I feel like it's the most affordable fruit right now. It's quite affordable. You can buy, the mango is in season right now. You can buy mangoes. By the time you put all of this, if you can either eat it or blend them into smoothies or even juice them, either ways you want to eat it. It's just being intentional about eating right. And truly, please don't wait till you are forced to actually eat right. Eat right because you actually need to, so that you can have a good life for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Actually.
So thank you so much, Moji. We know that we will come back and take another part, because we only touched one part of it today.
Yeah.
So we look forward to having you back on the show. But thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Dami, for being on set with me. It was lovely. So before we go, do ensure that you follow us on Instagram at Way Show Africa and Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further. Drop a comment. Remember to like, follow all our social media engagements, share, comment, and invite your friends and family to watch us and follow us. If you missed today's quote, here it is again. He who has health has hope, and he who has hope has everything. We look forward to bringing another great conversation to your screens at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Have a good evening.